we are live. I love what it says across the thing. You are live. So very different from going live on Zoom, but I like this too. So we're coming to you on StreamYard. Is that it? StreamYard, yes. So so this is Sandy. I'm Sandy Lawrence, and this is our podcast, Sandy and Friends. And my friends today, my friend every Friday is Fern Brady and Amy Ravichandran. Today, Amy is en route. She's going to be listening. She's en route to San Antonio. It's her sister's birthday tomorrow, and she wanted to go down and spend time with her. And so Alicia Richardson is our special guest friend today. So Alicia, thank you very much for joining us. I love that we have people that at the last minute will just say, yes, I'll do that. And that was wonderful of you to do that, Alicia.
The funny thing about, this is that so our concept, right, for Sandy and Friends is that, we're getting together to chat as friends. Now, if we were in a real world, we would actually be able to see Alicia.
If we weren't so dependent on technology. Oh my gosh. It's like we went from technology being nice to have, to it being like important. And now it's like one of the most important things that we have is the ability to be able to be live with each other. It's the only way we do conferences right now. It's the way we have lunch. It's the way we get together with family. My family has gotten together on Zoom every Tuesday night for a year now. And not everybody's on every week. It's just like some people are on and some are not. And we have a great time. We're on for like an hour and a half or so, and then everybody goes. But that's been our only way of getting together and spending time together. So it's
every Friday afternoon, I host the writer's room, right? And we just are through the Zoom link. Well, now we're doing Teams, I think, because that way it doesn't get bumped off with Zoom. But it's just everybody's in the background, right? I mean, I'm working on my computer, I'm working on my files, and the other writers are there, and we're all writing together. But it doesn't feel at least you don't feel as isolated, Now, and one of the big things to me that's a benefit to doing these meetings virtually is I get to smoke.
That's true. That is true.
Alicia, I love your picture. Is that one of the ones you drew?
Yes. Well, I didn't draw it, but I had like a paintbrush for carousel horses in Photoshop, and so I colored it and added all the background and stuff.
I love it.
And I know Alicia really is into horses, so that's great, Alicia. I've seen her books that have horses on them, and your publishing company is Black Mare, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am. Black Mare Books.
I love that.
And let me tell you, Alicia had me translate her
Team Smash.
Yes, Team Smash book. That was an awesome book. And I did not realize there was so much vocabulary that had to do with horses.
That's very true. That is true. Well, I just want to say Ashlyn was commenting about what we were talking about a few minutes ago at the Zoom and the technology and getting together, everything being online right now. So her son gets to FaceTime with his dad every Wednesday night while he's at work. So that's a great thing then.
And that, I would imagine, that must be a real blessing when you have a situation where you have a divorce. To keep contact, the technology would be very useful now.
Yeah. Well, we started our family thing, my sister and I and my brother, because my brother's wife passed away 2 years ago. So before COVID, she died, and he's in North Carolina. My sister's in Port Aransas, and I'm here. And we didn't want him to be by himself, so we're like, we can spend time with him. We went out there for a while, for several months. But then when we had to come home and do all that, we're like, okay, so we can stay in touch with the Zoom. And then pretty soon we opened it up to the rest of the family, and everybody was joining us. So that's awesome. So Alicia, what do you do as far as using any? You said you connected to Skype. So how do you use technology to stay in touch with your family or friends?
Well, our critique group, we used to meet at not Terry Hershey, at Tracy G on Thursdays. But since the plague has started, we just meet up on Skype. And my husband, all of his siblings live across the pond. And so like 2 Saturdays a month now, they've started getting together and they have a family call. And sometimes I sit in on it and sometimes I'm out doing stuff. But I mean, they hadn't done that until the inception of the plague. So I think in that regard, it's been a good thing.
That is good. That is good. Well, I've been trying to think of something because I have daughter-in-laws and granddaughters that are millennials, and they're all kind of want to get together, but they don't want to just get on and just sit and talk. They want to be doing something. So I'm looking for some things you can do on Zoom. Now, when I put that into Google, I found lots of suggestions. Oh. So games, there's all kind of games. So one of the games we're looking at is bingo. And there's a different kind. It's not like, I guess you could do the regular bingo, but there's one like asking questions. Has anyone, and we could do that. So I was thinking, we could do that sometime when we're doing like Saturday morning or something, because then you could direct it specifically to authors and like who has published a book on whatever topic or a poetry book or something. But it was really interesting, some of the games that came up. So we're getting ready to start doing that like once a month and just play games the whole time. So I thought that was a fun thing to do. So anything, Alicia, that you guys use that for anything other, your family, what do they do? Anything other than just visit and talk?
Yeah, they just visit and talk. I mean, we did a Zoom Christmas party where people provided a quiz, and so they could share your screen and have the quiz on there, and then people make their best effort to answer your quiz. And so, I mean, it's just kind of like a humorous, fun thing, and it's
that does sound like fun, though. I like that. And what you said, I like that I could put the bingo thing. I could share the screen and have the bingo screen online so everybody could see it. I hadn't thought about that, but that would be great. But it had other games like Scattergories. I don't know if you've ever played the real Scattergories, but it was giving suggestions. It's you draw a sheet that's got different topics on it, and everybody has the same topics. And then like a boy's name, and it'd have to be with the letter S or something. And so once everybody's filled out everything, then if somebody else has the same name that you did, then you have to eliminate both of them. So at the end, the winner is the one that had the most answers, not eliminated by somebody else having the same thing. So it's a fun game to play, it really is. But it's a little challenging if you're not that familiar with playing games like that. So, but we love playing games.
Right, we did the Authorology Gala online, and that was very fun. And and it was kind of interesting. I mean, we didn't really know how many people were going to show up because we basically just put the link on the website for the gala night, and we were like, come and party, So, but we had a really good amount of people, and there's always that little. How are you going to coordinate talking amongst everybody? Because it's unlike in a party, right? Where you're like next to somebody and you can have a little side conversation and other people talking over there. And, on Zoom, you really do, or on at least, just digitally in general, you have to coordinate, right? You have to coordinate. But I think it flowed rather well, Of course, there's the people sometimes that talk more than other people.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's why they have chat, so you can talk with your friend in a private chat on the side if you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And I found out. So I was taking a class with Max, and we were talking about the chat, and somebody had posted a few things that were good resources. And someone was like, "Hey, can we get a copy of the chat?" Well, did you know that if they do that, if you copy the chat, that all the private conversations also get copied?
I did know that. Yes.
Oh my gosh, I did not know that. I was like, now I have to be more careful how I chat.
I didn't think about that, but you mean if I'm sending one like specifically to Amy saying, "Can you make sure you do this?" That would show up if somebody saves the chat then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good to know. Good to know.
I know, right? See, now here's the terrible thing about that. The fact that I reacted that way, it just goes to show the kinds of crazy things I would do. I mean, I'm the kind that would like pass a terribly not great to be read out loud note in class.
So, all right, if you're going to be talking smack about Sandy.
You did that. Alicia, I'm sorry, I think you and I were talking at the same time. What was that you just said?
I said, all right, we're going to look out to see if you're talking smack about Sandy here.
Thank you, Alicia.
I would never do that.
No, never. And I totally believe you too, Fern.
Of course I do. I love you, Sandy.
So, anything? Oh, so Fern, let's just talk real quick about the for both of you about the upcoming conference for the Houston Writers Guild.
Yeah, I'm going to let Alicia talk about that.
Okay, Alicia.
Well, this year our spring conference is going to be June, the 11th, 12th, and 13th. We've got some great speakers lined up. Tex Thompson is going to do a 1-hour workshop with us on Saturday, and then she's going to do a half-a-day workshop on Sunday about StoryForge. So it's how to put your stories, write a compelling story. And we've got, I think, do we have 4 or 5 agents, Fern?
I think we have 5. Because we had that extra one that was coming on board that does the like science fiction and fantasy.
Yeah, and she also does YA. So we've got 2 children. Okay, so Jackie Lipton does children's and YA, and I believe this, what is her name? It's not Jade. But it's
Jade? No. How do you pronounce her name, Sandy?
I have to be looking at it to. How does it spell, Alicia?
I don't have the thing open.
Okay, well, I do have I have the thing opened, and here I am on that page. But where would I go to see the?
They're at the bottom, right?
Yeah, and if you go where the tickets are, it'll have each agent is listed under separate ticket.
Because I'm looking at the Ready Set Pitch.
Mm-hmm.
And register. Maybe if I register now, that will. Anyway, I'll be looking for that. We can keep talking because I do. I know that.
Well, we have. Hang on. Let me see. I think I'm getting there. We do have the Texas Review Press with us.
Yeah, I saw that.
So that's going to be great. And he's also looking for poetry, which sometimes can be very hard to get people, who are in. Her name is Rae. RAE, right? Right?
The one that he has?
The lady that's doing fantasy and also YA.
Because I have Jackie Lipton.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, okay, it's Rae Laverde, Loverde, Laverde.
Okay.
And she's actually from Donald Moss's agency.
Yeah,
she's represents some other ones. So, and
that's the one that I found because I actually contacted Jenny Goloboy because she was here a few years ago, and I picked her up at the airport, and so I've been in touch with her back and forth since then, and I just reached out and said, "Are you interested?" And she said she was just way too busy, but she recommended this person named Ray, who actually supports. She is an upcoming agent, but she right now also supports two of their full-time agents. So she said she'd be a great one to have on. So yeah. And I have a picture. She is right, agent assistant. But yeah, she has a lot of very, very millennial type stuff, website kind of stuff, and everything.
You know what? I'm thinking I may go ahead and pitch my book to her, because I'm thinking of going ahead and pitching the one I'm working on now. Because Max was saying that he felt it might be a really good one for like a mainstream publisher that would be interested in like a fantasy romance kind of political thriller. So I may do that. I may have to get me a ticket for the agent session. I wrote I wrote a query letter and I sent it to Max, and then he had to like basically reorganize the whole thing because he's like, this is totally wrong for so
well, that's good because I'm helping a client right now. This is the only client that I'm still working with one-on-one, and that's all I do for him is help pitch him to agents. And he's 92 years old, and he's got a historical fiction novel about World War II. And his whole book is about what if there was another vice president other than Truman. And, then would we have gone to, how would the war ended? What would it? So it's a very interesting, but it is a very good book. And he's got this background. He was a professor at UT Austin, and then UT some in West Texas. I forget which one out there. And then he went on to UNC. So he's done a lot. He's got and he's 92 years old. So
yeah.
A lot of fun to work with.
That is a really interesting topic because I think FDR's first term and second term, I think even the third one was another gentleman. And I can't the name is just not with me right now, but he was very much kind of like Bernie Sanders. That was kind of his philosophy. And they changed him. There was a really, nasty. Politics is always nasty, but it was particularly nasty that year when they traded him out for Truman as the VP. If they hadn't done that, it would have been a very different situation.
And then FDR dies and Truman becomes president, which, he talks about how interesting it is now that we have a president that's older, the oldest that's ever been. So what's going to happen if we have the very first female and a Black female as president? And he's just said that I just compare that with what happened with FDR. I just know that. And so he's got all this stuff about his book that he's talking about. So it's a very interesting conversations we have.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. Now, was he ever in that Kroger program that
he was not. He was not. Okay. He was old. He was already older than that. I met him because I worked with his daughter, who is the one that had a book about the roller derby queen. And so in talking to her, and she was telling me about her dad one day, and so she told her dad about me, and he goes, I'd love to talk to her. So he's 92. He's adorable. He is so adorable. And one of his girlfriends way, way back was named Sandra. So when he found out my name was Sandy, he goes, can I call you Sandra? Sure. And he is really fun, and we talk once a week, and it's just a lot of fun. And then looking for agents is something new for me, so that's really interesting and fun. So yeah,
I don't think any author would categorize that as fun, to be honest.
What, looking for an agent?
Yeah.
But it is, for me, it is fun because I love looking, and I love, okay, this person is looking for someone that writes historical fiction, but no World War II. They specifically write it out, no World War II. And one of the things, what I'm doing is finding out I have to really do I have to practice what I've preached for 20 years, because I have to go look at the submission guidelines, and I have to go do all this research. And every week I come back to him and say, okay, here's somebody I found, but be careful because they don't like this. And so that's fun for me to do what I've always told authors they need to do. If you're going to find an agent, or if you want to be published by a smaller publisher, or you have to know the submission guidelines and follow it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I was looking online because, it's romance, and that's the big thread of my new book. So I've been looking for romance publishers, and a lot of them accept things without an agent, and then there's some that want the first 3 chapters, and some that want the first 4, and then some just want the whole thing. And so it's interesting because now I have deadlines for myself to make sure that I've tightened up the first 4 chapters. And so I'm going to send those out first. And then once I finish tightening up the rest of it, I'll send that out. But I mean, it's really a very nerve-wracking situation.
It is. And so we'll have to talk about that more, since I didn't know you were looking for an agent or anything like that. So some of the websites I go to and find things are very interesting. Some of the tidbits that they tell you. So I'll have to pass along some of my tidbits, news flashes for you.
The benefit that Alicia and I have is that we have our own presses, so we publish our own selves. I didn't expect to have to actually get rejected.
And what did you say earlier you were going to have to do with your rejection letters? You said, I'm going to have to do something with my rejection letter, and I don't remember what it was, but before we went live.
Probably compile them and keep them somewhere safe.
I have heard of people wallpapering their room with rejection letters and stuff like that. So I'm like, oh my gosh.
I think that'd be too depressing.
I think it would be too. Alicia, do you ever send anything out to an agent?
No, I haven't. Occasionally I'll do some short story contests or that type of thing. But with my first book that I had published called Earthbound, I had sent it out, and I'd gotten really good feedback on it. And I had an agent that was like, oh, we really love this. And they gave me an editorial letter, and I went through and I made their changes. And I mean, it was good. I mean, it made it a better book. So I'm glad that happened. And then I sent it back to them, and they're like, oh, we enjoyed reading this so much. We really loved it, but nobody's buying this kind of stuff right now, so we're going to pass. I was like, really? And I just got tired of it's like, oh, we really like this, but no. And so I just said, I'm doing it myself.
And that is something I know, that's one of the things that I told my client. I said, first of all, we have to find out if anybody's even remotely interested in what if Truman was not the president and somebody else, and then they are vice president, and then they became president. I'm like, we have to find out if people are interested in that. And some people specifically said, no, this would not interest me in the slightest. And so it's interesting because I got one person responded and said, if you send me the first 5 pages, and at the end of those 5 pages, I can't wait to get the next 5, then I'll be interested in representing you. But if I don't feel like I can't wait to read the rest of the book, then I'm not going to take it on. And I'm like, well, that makes sense, because if you weren't going to read the rest of the book or weren't interested in it, then why would you want to represent that book? Because you wouldn't do a good job with it. So, but we've had quite a few agents that I've met through the Guild and through our conference where authors can book a pitch session and just pitch their book to the agent. So how do you prepare for that, Alicia?
Well,
if you were going to do that, how would you prepare?
The last time I did that, it was actually at Writers League of Texas. You know, they have their big summer concert conference, and I hope no one's going to sing there. But anyway, they usually do a great job. They've got tons of agents. They've got a lot of educational material, and so I highly recommend it if you haven't been. And I had done so. One of the things that they had was like after, so it was a Friday night kind of mixer, and so agents had a name tag that had one color stripe on it, and authors had a name tag that had a different color stripe, so you could just, you know, everybody's color coded, so you could go sit around and talk to agents that way, and you kind of find out what they were looking for. And so my friend and I that went, we had our little program, and we were studying the agents. It's like, okay, well, this one wants, okay, this is one wants something that we're selling. So then we go and try to find, it's like, okay, that's a blue tag. Is that the agent? No, that's not them. Oh, there's a blue tag. Nope, no. Okay, there he is. There he is. There was this one.
Funny, yes.
There was this one agent that had put in her biography, and most of it was about her pet chinchillas. So we asked her about her pet chinchillas, and then she got really offended that we were asking this. We're like, well, why'd you put it in your biography then? If you tell me to ask you about it.
Because that is one of the things I tell people is if you read their bio or read their blog or something, and you see that they've got a pet and they talk about it, then you definitely want to mention that, you know, in your query. Just say something about how's a little puppy and that kind of stuff. So I'm surprised they would put something in there and then not want you to even mention it.
Yeah, we're a little stunned that since she had devoted about half of it to her chinchillas, that she was mad we were asking.
She should have been happy that, you know, you read it.
I know. You know? Fern, how would you prepare for a pitch session?
Oh Lord, I would probably not really do too much preparation because I freak out if I prepare too much. If you know, but I actually am pretty good at improvisational stuff. Like I remember when I was the head of the guild, and then we had Verstant come on board as president, and he was going to do the State of the Guild address. And he was asking me for my former speeches. He wanted me to send him copies of them. I was like, dude, I just stand up there and talk. I work really well on that basis, but I'll probably have to like figure out, you know, like how to like, I really think the hardest part is creating a single sentence. You know, the elevator
pitch.
The elevator pitch. That's what I was just thinking about is the elevator pitch. Yes.
And especially because like what I write is so complex. I mean, I don't write something simple. You know, I've got science fiction stuff going on. I've got political elements going on. I've got the romance elements. Plus, you know, he's half dragon, so he's not even a full human. He's, you know, so I mean, you've got so much going on in these books, and it's very hard for me to try to just kind of zero in on something very simple. But I'm thinking that the best way to present it would be, you know, it's the story of how a very powerful man, you know, conquers or falls in love with this very strong, independent woman. I don't know. As obviously, I need to actually try to prepare for this.
And that is something that we could work on together. We could work on stuff like that in the in some of our group things that we do. We have a bunch of group things.
The first time I ever pitched to an agent was at a Houston Writers Guild conference, and that lady was so nice to me. I was a hot mess. But my story was a hot mess. Everything I said made no sense whatsoever. And she was so polite. She was so polite and really kind. You know, she was really, really kind about like, you know, telling me to just breathe. She's like, it seems like you have a lot going on in that story. Let's try to dissect it. She really was coaching me more than listening.
That's funny. That's funny.
You know? But yeah, needless to say, she did not accept it.
But I remember when I went to a lot of networking events, and everybody had an opportunity to stand up and introduce themselves, and they, that's when I learned what an elevator pitch was, and so I did get quite good at it for a while, but I haven't practiced for a long time. So it is something, if you're going to do a pitch, that you probably would want to practice to somebody else before that day. So that's a good thing. So that'd be a good thing to talk about tomorrow in our social thing, is for all these people that will be going to the conference. Hopefully they'll start working on their pitch to the agent. So
that's true.
Maybe we can even offer a workshop on how to pitch an agent and write your elevator pitch prior to the conference.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Alicia. We could do a webinar on that.
Yeah.
I've tried to do a webinar for the longest time and we never do, but that would be a great thing to have somebody come in and teach how to do that. So that's a great idea, Alicia. I love that. Love that. Well, this half hour has flown by. I mean, I can't believe I looked down. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's 1:33. So, Alicia, thank you so much for joining us.
It was fun to be here.
Yes, I'm sorry we couldn't see your beautiful face, but we'll have to figure that out while your camera doesn't work. Mine doesn't always work. Mine doesn't always work either. So
it might be a StreamYard thing.
Yeah, it could be. So, Fern, thanks again. Love you having my buddy here. And so Amy's on her way to San Antonio. So, Amy, if you're watching, have a great trip. And we look forward to seeing you next week, having you. So once again, this has been Sandy and Friends. And if you have any topics you want us to talk about, or you want to join us sometime as a guest, hey, we're open. This is us figuring out what we're doing. So this is actually, I won't say us, I'll say me. This is me figuring out what we want to do with this podcast and where we want to go and how we want to become rich and famous with it. So
I'm just so happy we got Alicia on tonight.
I know, Alicia. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's so much fun to hang out with you, Alicia. And we don't get to do that as much anymore. Thanks to
yeah.
So tomorrow morning is the social Saturday for the Authors Guild, right?
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
Alicia, will you be there?
I will.
Okay, good. I will too. So we'll see. I have nothing going on this weekend, and my kids are all out of town visiting their dad for his birthday. So I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Have a great Friday night, and thank you again for joining us. And the rest of you out in Facebook world, just have a great weekend. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Now I have to figure out how. End broadcast.